Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles.
Don't call it a comeback.
I am indeed. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at NewsNerd on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
Oh, there it is.
All right. Okay, Restream putting in stats for the nerds. Gotcha. And on sound effects, and whom you have just heard, is none other than our man. He's back, folks. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the borough of Kings.
Straight up Brooklyn in the house. Representing.
Big Brooklyn in the house.
Without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody?
Indeed. And we will get into later about the goings-on of Agent 70 a little later in the show. But I'm sure that will, well, if that wasn't apparent by what I said last week, then hey, you know, it is what it is. You can find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network, that's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find this on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts.
Yes. You could also find us streaming. Surprisingly enough, we're streaming on a Thursday, like we normally would, like we quote unquote normally would. But this is going to be, there's going to be some changes in that in the next month or two. But not surprising because holiday and other things. But
Right. I was about to say movie protocol, life. We are here though on a regular Thursday.
Indeed, and you could find us on those regular Thursdays and in other times on the YouTube channel of where we were recording live on youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Again, please click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive reviews, and hit the notification button so that you will know when we are on live and broadcasting.
So, as we are recording on a Thursday night, and in fact, if we had recorded at the normal time that we normally would have, we would have been in the middle of this week's recording in the middle of this week's Loki, which we're a little late because I thought we were going to watch it first, which is probably just as well because it was an hour. It's pretty much a damn near hour-long episode, of which I did watch like half of it. What was so now I can go back and actually watch it and not do 2 and 3 other things. So we're not necessarily going to talk about that this week. But
Right, and we have a full enough show without it. So, we can, true. Next week, we were just talking about next week's schedule. I think next week will be a normal week.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, next week will be a normal week. So, we'll see what we can't do about possibly squeezing in 2 episodes of Loki talk next week. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get myself and Roddykat able to watch next we's episode of Loki in time for recording.
Right. This one, the fact that this one was an hour, which actually might be indicative of maybe because sometimes they've done this. It's like, hey, they start out kind of short, like WandaVision kind of did. It was like, hey, they started out kind of short shows and then ended up going up in length as time went by. But that was also a 9-episode show, and this is only 6. So I suspect, and we're already at the halfway point, so I suspect they may possibly be creeping up towards, or not even creeping, they're probably going to keep them closer to 50 minutes than not in these last couple, but we shall see if that is going to be the case. There's definitely some things that happen in this one, I can safely say, without going into it. So what we are actually going to do is run straight on into, and I didn't get a chance to watch Lower Decks yet, so but that's a whole nother thing. But we're going to get into the books, starting off with Avengers Inc. #2.
Avengers Inc. #2 is written by Al Ewing with art by Leonard Kirk, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. This issue picks up right where we left off at the end of Avengers Inc. #1 with some well, maybe not necessarily where we left off, but with an interesting question in the air that's still kind of left, unanswered, but at least partially addressed, and at least we get the first steps towards addressing this particular question, which is why there is someone running around in an alter ego of Vision in the body of Whirlwind, which is just wild to say.
Right. But
that's such a wild concept.
It is, which is one of the hooks of this thing, because they're going to tease that out a little while. This is one of those times where I'm promise you we might know the answer to that by the end of this arc, I suspect. But this is one of those times where it's teasing out is not a bad thing, as opposed to going 25, 26 issues. Like some people.
Zach Wells. Exactly. Shots fired. Shots fired.
But
boy.
But it actually continues to be interesting in what they do and they don't do with this, because basically, Al Ewing's treating this just like any other, or not any other, treating this just like a mystery, just like Promise. Like, hey, this is a mystery show, or a mystery book, in where a thing happens, you just happen to find the people investigating on the case or near, just happen to run into the case. In this case, it's at Avengers Mansion, which is had been turned into a theme hotel for, which I totally forgot that was the Human Torch's idea. In fact, I did not
remember that was the Human Torch's idea.
Like, I remember when he had mentioned it, but also forgot that it happened, because I think he had a bunch of money and was like, oh yeah, well, this, he's doing some things, and this, I think that was one of them. So I was like, so why didn't one of the Avengers do that? I think I asked that question then. Like, why didn't Tony do that? It was his house originally anyway. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. And we find Janet Van Dyne and this new Victor Shade here for a reason, and that reason happens to be meeting the real Victor Shade, as if you're watching the video version.
Victor Shade.
Exactly. And the folks may or may not know that is the Vision, who went under that name for a length of time. Who, I guess rightly so, none too pleased.
yeah, he's pretty annoyed. Yeah. And what's funny is that there is, a pretty logical explanation to the murder mystery, as it were, that popped up, in at the end of issue 1 and throughout issue 2. So I got a kick out of how Al Ewing composed that particular threat, and wove it into the continuity, because there's a reason for it. There's a perfect explanation for it.
Excuse me. Yep. And even going through this issue and going into the next issue, even though we see some folks that are coming to, we see the next case that's going to come into play from the end of this issue, which I'm going to be again interested to see. Because we got an OG coming back into play for a second, for a hot second.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see.
Right.
And what happens with that. Although part of me would not trying to speculate on what may be tying this whole thing together. I was like, they wouldn't do that, because the end of the book kind of had me thinking, I was like, wait, this is the thing that's happening, and then this is the thing we're dealing with right now, and they kind of tease the clues to, I guess, something that we saw at the end of the last issue, but they didn't necessarily bring it back up. But I was like, I wonder if that has something to do with that part of the mystery. So I know that sounds vague as hell, but you know what? It's a good book. Just check it out. I would say. So far, things have been doing great. It's Al Ewing, so you kind of, at least I think we have a kind of expectation. It's going to be entertaining at the very least. And
at the least, yeah.
And that is still holding to be the case. So it did also make me think of like, okay, this is not quite Thor's, but in its own right, it's kind of similar and still good. Which I was telling Agent 70 before the show. I was like, yeah, maybe this is saying something about me and procedurals.
Right. I mean,
and murder shows.
Listen, this issue was a lot of fun. It's definitely a candidate for Kliq of the Week.
Yep.
I have to say though, my jaw dropped at the cliffhanger page, the meanwhile page, because that hit me in the feels. Which is because as an old school Simonson Thor fan, right? And this actually ties into something to something I did and got signed at New York Comic Con this year.
Okay.
Right, and it'll be part of what we talk about later. But let's just say the story of the god that held the bridge at Gjallerbru.
Yes.
Means a lot to me, right? It means a lot to me personally,
and I guess in certain sections of the MCU.
What's that?
And a certain part of the MCU, I guess, if you.
Yeah, but that's not the best adaptation.
I know.
It's not. It pales. But the point being, that's probably like the part of Ragnarok that I was least happy with, right?
Yeah,
but
fair.
Ultimately, like when I saw this page, my jaw dropped. And I was just like, Uncle Walt, did you see this? Did you see this? Uncle Walt, did you see this? So, but it's such a cool thing, man. It's such a cool thing that, like, there's a certain vintage of creator that, that holds those stories in high regard, like Al Ewing, like Jason Aaron. Like when I talked to Jason Aaron and I showed him some of the stuff I got Walt Simonson to sign, he smiled. He was like, oh yeah. Right.
I think I saw a picture of speaking of New York. I think I saw a picture of somebody with Al Ewing. I think that's who it was, and I don't think I've ever seen him before.
I met Al Ewing. Al Ewing wasn't at New York,
wasn't he?
He might have been at. He was no. He wasn't signing. He was, I think, at a New York at a Marvel panel. But he wasn't in Artist Alley. Gotcha. So I missed him if he was doing any sort of Marvel panel signing.
Right. So, and I guess I just looked him up. I was like, well, I could have just looked him up. Yeah, because it's definitely that dude. So I was like, I've never seen him before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he is definitely not related. He, at least not visually related to Eve L. Ewing.
Nah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, Ewing is a relatively common enough name, so I don't think that's the case. It'd be funny if that were the case, though.
Right. But in any event, as you said, I think I did see that he was at a Marvel panel. On Thursday or Friday, but he was not in Artist Alley.
Right. I saw somebody. I saw a picture's been flying fast and free, obviously, and somebody had a picture of him. I can't remember if it was him and them or him and somebody else, but I was like, I've never seen him before. Yeah. That's crazy.
Listen, I was about to say, who was incredibly hard to meet, who had lines around the aisles all weekend?
Who?
And I'll talk about this again. Is Chip Zdarsky.
I guess that's not surprising. I guess given his Daredevil run was fairly popular, and his Batman run
Daredevil,
also. But
Sex Criminals, Batman.
Well, yeah, the Sex Criminals. Yeah, I guess there are still fans of Sex Criminals. I know I was, but yeah. But yeah, I guess that's true. But I figured it would be more for his more recent stuff than that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But my last thing on was that?
Did you get a news story about announcement for his new book?
I might have, if it's not in this week, I might have talked about it last week.
Oh, okay. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, in any event, so we can move on to the next book. We were like kind of intermingling our New York Comic-Con.
Wait, if you're talking about the Avengers thing, I think that had been a thing.
The future Avengers thing.
Yeah. I do have something on that, and yeah, we had talked about that one before previously anyway when that got announced. But yeah, I got something on that. So either way. Right. But I was gonna say the last thing on Al Ewing is like, yeah, he kind of looks like a young Rick Ross. If those of you of a certain vintage who knows your rap history, then you probably know who that is. But Rick Rubin, not Rick Ross. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm like, I don't know about Rick Ross.
No. Rick Rubin. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I was about to say. Wait, I had to check myself. I'm like, wait a minute. No.
Yeah. No, I've met Al Ewing. I met him. And I've told this story before. I met him at New York Comic Con when it was still early in the Immortal Hulk run, and there was no one in front of him, not a soul. I literally walked right up to him. I said, "Hey, man, I'm a huge fan of what's happening in this right now."
Right.
So, All right, moving on.
Anyway, yeah. So
as President Bartlett would ask,
what's next?
Actually, what was the next book? Invincible Iron Man number 11 is the next book.
All righty. So Invincible Iron Man number 11 is written by Jerry Duggan, with art by Andrea DeVito, with colors by Brian Valenza, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, who I did see at New York Comic Con, but did not have anything to have him sign. VC's Joe Caramagna. So we are again kind of in the Fall of X stuff, where Iron Man is kind of tangentially acting with the aid of Emma Frost, and it is it's interesting that the element that was introduced in Hoxpox may prove to be an Iron Man tool.
Mm-hmm.
Which
what? At this point, I'm not surprised by this. Now, granted, given his closeness to what's going on in the X corner now, I guess that's not the biggest surprise. But at some point, you kind of figure, even if what's going on in the X corner is going on now wasn't going on, you figured he would have found a way to procure that item, right, or some of that item, because he usually does. Somehow most people that can get stuff can seem to get stuff in the Marvel universe, right? One way, shape, or form. That's how Adamantium got out there all kind of willy and nilly at one point in time.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good comparison, because it started out very rare, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So it's not surprised he would have gotten his hands on some of the stuff and at some point. By the way, I can't seem to find the original the A cover, so I'm using the Tak Miyazaki variant. There it is. You know what I was going to add in the next issue teaser? It's funny that Duggan is going to bring back Riri Williams. Yeah. And they're still going to touch on her current status as being the current holder of the 10 rings of the Mandarin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was like,
not the Shang-Chi 10 rings, but rather the old school 10 rings.
Yes, I'm going to say the actual 10 rings. That other side. A pale comparison. As Vision said in Avengers Inc., accept no substitutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, this was a good issue. I think we had talked about an article, or I might have talked about. No, I think you were here when I talked about the article where there's it's where they're going on. Jerry Duggan mentioned where they were going on honeymoon, and this is pretty much that before it gets into the bulk of the issue, which is a work trip to Krakoa to find a thing. So
right.
But yeah, this was a pretty good issue. Also, there was a. I don't think this was an MCU thing, but I couldn't help but notice the glasses that Hazel/Emma was using felt like a reference to the Iron Man glasses in the MCU.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing now. I was like, you know what, it might not have been the case, but it's like you can't.
Right, because they're not like exactly, but yeah, I get it.
Right. Yeah, these are full blown.
Right, exactly. They're not round, they're not square. Yeah.
Right. These are pretty much lokes. But
yeah.
So, but yeah, good stuff. So I don't know, just one last question before we move on. Did the hindrance that Tony runs into while he was on Krakoa, did that remind you of? Did you think of a former Avengers associate?
Yeah, the dude that was in That's the former security head of security for Avengers Mountain.
Right. Yeah, I didn't want to say his name just in case that to spoil anything. But yeah, I thought that's. I was like, wait, but that's not him.
Yeah. I initially thought that was him. I'm like, he went bad again.
Right. That was my exact thought as well. I was like, well, what the hell? But then there would have been a little bit more formality going on there. So anyway.
Exactly. Like I kept reading. I'm like, oh, that can't be. It's just apparently an Orcus experiment.
Right. Which with the PhD apparently. And last but not least, between the two of us, which actually, you know what? I'm seeing some books that I don't think I pulled that.
Well, Sensational.
To read. Yeah, no. I'm talking about something on during the covers that I meant to read. But in Sensational She-Hulk is the last book between us.
Yeah, Sensational She-Hulk #1 is written by Rainbow Rowell with art by Andre Genollet, colors by D. Cuniff, and letters again by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. I made a joke about this just prior to the show. We are literally picking up right where we left off in the last volume of She-Hulk with essentially the same creative team, which is great.
Same story.
So right, it's the same story, like picking up, essentially where we left off. So if you are kind of grasping at straws to try to figure out where we are, you may want to go back to the previous She-Hulk volume and read that. I recommend it. I think Roddykat recommends it. You should go back and. This issue really starts off kind of with like an interesting bang, because I guess what I didn't realize at the end of the last arc was that Jack of Hearts at a certain power level is able to do something where he is able to hold a power level where he can interact with She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters,
right,
as opposed to when he's not powered up. And I didn't necessarily realize that was one of the big reveals from the last volume. So I appreciated that being made very clear up front in this issue.
So I'm going to say I don't think that was, because during the course of that volume, he was not. In fact, during the later half of that, that's when he kind of came back into his, I guess, quote unquote, original power set. But then, with caveats. So I don't think that was a thing that was.
Or it was obvious at the end of it, right?
Right. Until this, right.
Gotcha. Right. So that's what I thought. I was glad that they were very transparent about it. Like, all right, so this is the situation now.
Right.
I'm glad that Rainbow Roll did it here. And I was thinking, oh, you know what? Did I miss something at the end of the last volume? That's what I was kind of thinking.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't think they made that clear during that. Because, like I said, for a good time, he was nowhere near this. So they basically kind of been giving him a limit to his powers in a way.
Right. He always had a limit because he always had to discharge.
Right.
He wasn't he's not Captain Marvel.
Right.
Where it's almost limitless what he can absorb.
Right.
So.
But I guess they're basically saying that they're pretty much putting this, like, reminding folks that, hey, yeah, here's the thing, and now that he has it in some sort of control and X, Y, and Z, now that this can happen.
Right.
So yeah, that's good. But yeah, we get their goings on. We get to go back to work with, again, that whole Mallory Awesome Andy thing is still kind of weird to me, but it's like, oh, it's kind of cute. So we basically just spend this whole issue playing catch up with the last volume or the current goings on with was going on, because like Punch Club is back, which and that was kind of a funny part right there because of and I say it in my notes, it's like, yeah, I was not surprised by this character showing up during one of these in relation to the character that was already there. So it was only a matter of time, and booyah.
Of course.
So, which led to some, a couple of amusing interactions, I guess. So,
yeah.
But
yeah, I found one thing I found funny was there's a legal interaction where, a consultation between like two deviant characters.
Yes.
I couldn't help but laugh during that whole sequence.
Yes.
As a practicing attorney who used to do real estate stuff, and I was just like, I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh God, Roll, you're killing me with this.
And it's devious that we haven't seen in a minute. Cause like this is I would qualify these folks. One of them I didn't know about, but one of them I did. Like I don't remember this other one, but the main one that was doing most of the talking was like, oh yeah, I remember this dude, but that was a deep cut.
Sure.
So, and what they got into, and then there was a at the end of it there was a because actually I didn't know this issue was slightly bigger than a normal issue, which gave us a backup story, which was kind of amusing, which had Jen kind of fostering a shadow, but apparently she was kind of wrong about which shadow she was helping out,
right?
Which led to an amusing thing. Now I don't know if that's going to lead into anything or not, or that was just happening to put in there.
Right,
yeah.
I doubt it. I think that was just kind of like not a filler, but it was like something to add on to the value of a number one issue.
Right, and I think, matter of fact, I believe this is a legacy issue. So there's a significant legacy issue, I should say, to where they had it bigger than issue. Because I just thought, wait, did
it on the cover?
I thought it was.
Take a look.
I don't even see the legacy number on there. But I could have sworn it was a legacy. It was like 875. That can't be. But I thought it was.
That's high.
Yeah, no. But I'm thinking it was like a legacy issue.
Something like a rounder number. I gotcha.
I think 75 was in the but yeah.
No, it's legacy 179. It's the bottom right.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something significant. Never mind then.
I just think it was just a number one. And you know what's funny? Wait, did you mention that the bonus story was written by Jessica Gao?
Oh, no, I did not.
The showrunner of the Disney Plus series.
Correct.
That's what's special about that.
Right. I was like, okay, so you know, which was it was a nice little neat little bow.
No, it was a nice addition. It was definitely a nice addition.
So,
you know, I got a kick out of it because at the end of the day, you know, what she's saying is what every hero should be doing and what every DC hero in DC movies doesn't do. Hurt them, don't kill them. You know, be aware of the property damage that you cause, right? Like, I laughed. I was like, oh, this is shots fired. You know, like, there's some more shots fired.
I mean, to be fair, there's some early Marvel movies that was early to mid Marvel movies that wasn't doing that either. So, but yes,
until the Avengers, right, until the Avengers, like, oh, we got to help the people, you know,
right. So it was like, yeah, that was a nice little touch. It was so a good read all the way around. So it's good to have the Jay Giantess back.
Definitely. All right, so I think we can get into rapid fire reviews now.
Absolutely.
I ain't got time to bleed.
All righty, first up for me is Daredevil #2. It's written by Saladin Ahmed with art by Aaron Kuder, colors by Jesus Bertov, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So this is a candidate for Click of the Week for me. You know, Daredevil often is, especially if the story is well written. Ahmed is in the very early stages of establishing what he's looking to do with the new status quo that Matt Murdock is living in. And trust me, reading this off the heels of an excellent issue #1 is great. It's a lot of fun. You know, I'm not going to spoil too much of what happens here, but I will say that we do get a lot more Daredevil, OG Daredevil, in this issue. It's just really well written, folks. I definitely can't recommend this enough. Aaron Kuder's art is excellent, and I will say that I messed up a little bit when I went to New York Comic Con. I did not get Aaron Kuder's signature on Daredevil #1 because I honestly I blanked that he drew the book. And I walked past him, you know, I greeted him, gave him a fist bump, but I had Daredevil #1 in my hand. And forgot to get him to sign it. So it was pretty silly. Next up is Incredible Hulk number 5. It's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Travel Foreman, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. Believe it or not, this is actually a dark horse candidate for Click of the Week for me because, you know, in honor of spooky season, right? Incredible Hulk is all, you know, that's where Incredible Hulk is looking to go. Right, that's where Philip Kennedy Johnson is looking to take the title into, like, more of the horror aspects, kind of taking it back to the Immortal Hulk style. And, you know, Man-Thing is in here. There's a supernatural beings and creatures and magic and whatnot here. It's easy to explain, but if I do explain it, it will be spoiling it. I think it's worth a read. Take a look at Incredible Hulk number 5. It's a potential Click of the Week for me.
Question before you move on.
Shoot.
Because does this happen to maybe tie into She-Hulk because of...
No, not directly, but I understand because in Sensational She-Hulk, there is a cameo appearance by one Jade Giant, not Giantess, but it is the Jade Giant guest starring in or cameoing in the Jade Giantess's book.
Yes. Okay.
So ultimately, maybe not a direct tie-in, but it's the same look, right? It's the current look. It's not like an older, pre-current, it's not a previous run, let's say, right? That is the current look of the Hulk. Next is Ding 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 Ding. As we both check to see what that is. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Next up is Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, number 1 of 6. It's written by Brian Buccellato with art by Christian Duce, colors by Luis Guerrero, and letters by Richard Starkings and Comic Craft's Jimmy Betancourt. Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of story here. You're going to get a lot of DC / Super Friends / Legion of Doom / legendary versions, the legendary movie versions of Godzilla and Kong, and contriving a reason for them to come together. And that's what we have here. It's nice to look at, though, because the art by Christian Duce is pretty good. Last but not least for me is Nightwing number 107. It's written by Tom Taylor with art by Stephen Byrne, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Wes Abbott. Just shout out to Titans this week. I did not have an opportunity, enough time to read it. But I want to catch up on that. Nightwing number 107. Listen, Taylor is telling, excellent stories with Nightwing, and he's bringing in a lot of the lore and the continuity that has been in the pages of Nightwing for many years now, including the whole Rick Taylor, the whole I forgot his full name when he was shot in the head after he was shot in the head by KG Beast, but all that stuff is coming back. And, they're filling in a lot of gaps, and it's a lot of fun to read. So Nightwing number 107 is, it's actually not a bad place to jump on. It's a little dense if you are jumping on for the very first time, but it might actually entice you to go back and look up some of the previous issues because there's a lot to read here. So, and that's it for me.
Cool. As I tried to get, of course, he reads a book that we don't ever get.
What's that?
No, it was the thing from the chat.
Oh, PCN_dirt, you mean? I gotcha.
But we'll talk about
of course
that.
Of course he does.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. As I go on to my books with Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 11, which I'm now caught up on, thankfully. Which, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, hey, that whole Carnage stupidity thing, whatever was that bled into the book. I wasn't reading that, neither was Agent 7, I'm fairly certain. So it was like, all right. So usually stuff like this, you kind of gets you off of the book for a second, and then when it comes back, something something happens where either you forget to go about or keep going on the book, or something happens in that section. It was like, wait, that's might be kind of important.
Right.
So that being said, yeah, kind of yes, kind of no. But this book is written by Cody Ziegler with art by Federica Manson and color artist Brian Valenza. And did I really not get a letter for this book? I'm going to say it's probably a VC, someone from VC.
Oh, it's a Marvel book, yeah.
Yes, it is. So, but I don't, for some strange reason, I do not have that as I looked that up real quick.
You're looking up else, right?
Yeah. Or if you want to look it up while I talk about it real quick.
Oh, yes, exactly. I will look it up. You go ahead.
Thank you very much. So this is another particular click of the week for myself. Basically, hey, guess what, folks? It's almost Halloween time, so it is a Halloween themed story where we have a team up between Blade Bloodline, which is his daughter, if you did not know, Brielle, and one Miles Morales Spider-Man, because there are, ladies and gentlemen, vampires in Brooklyn.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And no Eddie Murphy.
And no Eddie Murphy.
Exactly. So, but it was a pretty good issue, which I guess, which is going to bleed into the, no pun intended, into the next issue, because of what happens at the end. I don't know if this is going to be a full arc. Or
bleed into.
I did just kind of let that go through there. Agent 70 and I was joking because he said while he did not read the book, he skimmed through it, and I will just say that Miles has another Marvel Legends figure on his plate.
Yes, a potential one at least.
Yes, due to something that happens in this book. So, which actually, give him fits. Now, this one was not a bad one. I could also say that if they had Miles in the Midnight Suns video game, of which Blade is also in, that could have been a fit for him there, but I don't think Miles is in that. I'm fairly certain Miles is not in that game. Peter is definitely, but not Miles. So, like I said, that team up's going on, and it was a pretty good, it was a pretty fun issue. Like, none of the stuff from the past, 4 or 5 issues, maybe one issue kind of touches on here, but no, not much. Actually,
well, no, this is the second issue of the story arc. So, right. We're only picking up on one issue where Blade kind of comes in. But yeah, there are elements here that are leaking in from previous stories.
Right, that's what I will go back on.
Right, I will add to Roddykat's quickie review is that, who we forgot?
What's that? The
last person he should forget. Our favorite lettering paisan.
Oh, Joe Carmani, of course. Because I didn't want to say it because I figured he was doing all of the Spider books, but I didn't want to assume that.
Right. Carry on.
But thank you.
Very welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're not caught up with what's going on with Miles, I won't go too far into it. But yeah, definitely he has had a change in his powers. Since that whole Carnage update and what happened with his house, which is why he and his family is in a new spot, and he's kind of feeling the pressure. He's been talking to Starling about it, but she was like, "Hey, no, you need to go somebody else." Part of me thought about it, was like, well, why is he not getting Peter's help? And then I thought about it. Well, a similar situation happened, and recent events kind of will tell you. With Peter, why that was probably a bad idea. And I'm not talking to the current stuff, like talking about our previous current stuff where Peter tried to mess with his spider sense. I don't think he would be the best person to come through with that kind of stuff. But regardless, little of that kind of flows into this, but like I said, that's just a little catch up with what's going on now. But like I said, the whole Blade and Spider-Man thing is kind of this in the next issue's a whole thing, and like Agent 70 said, just the second part of this arc. So, but pretty nice and breezy so far, I will say. Next up is Scarlet Witch number 9. There we go. There's 2 stories in here. first one's written by the main story is written by Steve Orlando. The backup story is written by Juan Ponce. Art on the first one is Lorenzo Tamada and Sora Pacelli. The second one's art is Iguara. Color artist on the first one is Frank Williams. Second one is Triona Farrell. And the letters on the whole thing is VC's Corey Pettit. So the main story is well, we pretty much get the week in the life of Scarlet Witch. She's taken her clone daddy brother Joseph along with her for reasons, and that ended up tying into this whole Hex Finder thing that has kind of been in the background of the book for the last couple of issues, and which is now going to bring it to the forefront. What also brings it to the forefront was that I wish I still had the sound effect up, but let's just say that Akbar comes into play near the end of this issue. And we also come to find out that Zelma and Darcy know each other, and one of them has been texting the other too much. So that right there is something I would care to see. Which actually brings us into the backup story, which has to do with a student at Strange Academy, which of course Wanda does kind of go in and lecture at times. But it puts the focus on one student that I don't think we knew too much about before this, because I don't recall ever seeing this person show up in any of the books. But the student kind of shows up in the main story for a hot second, but then gets a backup story where she and Wanda kind of teams up, and she kind of comes into her own. So I'm assuming she's going to play a bigger part, maybe with the Scarlet Witch at some point, or at some point in the future. But for now, we'll see. The main story kind of had a few interesting references and deep cuts, such as, hey, you remember Quicksilver's daughter Luna? She shows up in this.
Of course.
You know, because Quicksilver also shows up in this. But there's a whole list of people which I won't go into that kind of show up in this. Like, I haven't seen that character in so long. That's crazy. So, including an alternate, a parallel universe amalgamation of two characters. One, I guess, both of which Agent 70 likes and has a figure that he's going to show off next or near the end of the show. So
sure,
yeah, but we'll talk about that then. But yeah, that was a pretty good issue, and like I said, that whole Hex Finder thing is kind of coming to the forefront. Let's see what is next. Moon Knight number 28 is my next book. So this is going headlong into the death of Moon Knight, which is going to happen, I think, in 2 issues or so. It's written by Jed McKay, art by Federico Sabatini, color artist Rachel Rosenberg. That's a typo there. And letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So, Moon Knight and crew go after the Black Spectre, and weirdly enough, this issue feels like The Raid, if you've ever seen that movie. If you haven't seen that movie, you should if you're an action fan, because it's a pretty good movie. I haven't seen The Raid 2 yet, but, you know, or The Raid Redemption. I think Raid 2 is Raid. Either way, The Raid is a pretty fucking good movie if you haven't seen it. And part of this movie book kind of has that feel, but not fully. And at the end of it, Zodiac is also making a move of his own, and we'll see how that works out for him in the next issue. I am quite sure they're definitely playing up the fact. It's kind of what when you go into when you see those shows where you see a character kind of make a long speech or do a thing that's like, well, you know something's going to happen to this character. Like, if we didn't already know something was going to happen to Mark Spector, you would definitely know it reading this issue. So, and if you're not caught up on what's going on with that, I won't spoil it for you. I'm sure you will find out. Last book for myself is Batman, Superman, World's Finest number 20. As I try to find the cover here, there we go. It's written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora, colors by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Steve Wands. So basically, Batman and Superman end up in the Kingdom Come universe because they're trying to find Superman's old, previously unknown sidekick, and Flash ends up, tracking him down using a familiar tool Batman and Superman end up using a familiar tool in the Flash's arsenal of gadgetry and goodetry to get to this new to this other place. So that's pretty much the gist of that. And I would say shout out to, like 87 said, shout out to Titans, shout out to Cyborg, which I didn't get a chance to check out. But also shout out to Green Lantern War Journal #2, which I didn't get a chance to check out, which I very much wanted to. And that, folks, is the end of the books for me.
I still gotta say, I get a kick out of the idea that there's another comic out there that has a War Journal title, but it's not the Punisher.
Right. And so far, I hadn't even played what you would consider that book would to be, but hey, it's John Stewart.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. What are you gonna do? Okay. Yeah.
So, Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
I know I forgot to do something. So you got yours, or you need a second?
I have candidates, and I've already kind of talked about who my candidates are, but I think I know who I'm going to pick. Obviously, my candidates are Avengers Inc. #2, Daredevil #2, and Incredible Hulk #5, with Sensational She-Hulk #1 thrown in also. Oh, look at that. Let's see.
There we go.
Do me a favor, pass me the Skype link so I can pass it on.
Oh, okay. Hang on 1 second.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Do you have your Kliq?
I think, some of the ones you mentioned, like She-Hulk, Miles, and actually Invincible Iron Man were definitely some good picks, but I think I'm going to go with Avengers Inc. #2.
It's a good choice.
Yeah. So there's my Kliq right there. And yours was, I'm sorry, what was yours again?
I haven't said it yet, but I have a bunch of candidates.
Okay, while you're doing that, and we do have a guest online, but I'll get to him in a second. We'll get to Dirt's Kliq, which I guess is not necessarily a Kliq, but something he read, which was Al Capone Vampire #1 by American Mythology Comics. The flavor text is, it's Al Capone, he's back, he's a vampire, and he's decided to take over Chicago again. This is one of those rare times where the title almost does really tell you everything you need to know. Yeah, and it pretty much goes on there from there. So that's the thing he said he read this week. And we're going to just pull in. Oh yes, great. Ladies and gentlemen, while Agent 70 gets himself together on his Kliq, let us say hello to friend of the show, Matt Wayne 97.
Hey!
There we go.
Hey guys, sorry.
Long time no see. That's a joke. That's a joke. Yes, so I'm gonna go say, just to preempt a little bit, my Kliq of the week, because we're just finishing up our comic reviews for the week. Matt, my Kliq of the week is going to be Daredevil #2, but there are some really good books out this week. Avengers Inc. #2, Incredible Hulk #5, and Sensational She-Hulk #1. But Daredevil #2 takes the cake because I really like what Ahmed Aaron Cooter, Jesus Bertov, and Clayton Cowles are doing on this book right now.
Yeah, cool. Matt, have you had a first before we get into why you're on the show? Have you been able to read anything? Because I know you're real busy.
I'm usually just about 1 week behind, so I haven't read this week's books, but I'm pretty caught up. But hanging out with Agent 70 at Comic-Con and other things, it does keep me pretty busy. But usually I'm like a week, usually only a week or two behind. And look, I really thought Agent 70 was gonna, put up his, he's a big Powerpuff Girls fan, so I thought he was really excited about the IDW news.
Yeah. Oh, so yes, I'm
Dynamite news.
So I'm glad you bring that up because yes, we will be talking. I talked about that last week on the show, but I did bring it back up because I wasn't just like I told him, if there's some stuff from this week's or from last week's stuff that I talked about that y'all wanted to talk about in relation to the con, which I will send you the link in a second. Then yeah, we can talk about in the news section.
Right. But I think what we'll do is kind of what we generally do when we recap our New York Comic Con experience is, first talk about our experience on the floor at the con, some of who we saw, and like our experiences with the creative talent and retailers. So Matt, if you want to just give us some of your thoughts on that, you can choose either one, and I'll piggyback off that.
Sure. So look, I apologize if I sound like a broken record here because Agent 70's heard a lot of this from me, but it's really, I think I definitely noticed a lot. The show felt more corporate, right? There were a lot more large exhibits and large kind of activations, and a lot of companies that haven't been there were there this year. Guys, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, for example, there are numerous Korean comic book companies were there with large activations. There were a lot of anime and manga brands that haven't been there or had smaller activations in the past with kind of huge displays, right? As remember, a lot of One Piece, a lot of Dragon Ball Z, and then I think there were eBay tripled their footprint.
I heard that
last year, and then it was even larger this year.
Yeah, I heard that on the show floor, on like the southernmost end of the show floor, eBay like like as you said, tripled in size.
Interesting.
Which makes a lot of sense. They're leading, collectors are their big customers, and I think it makes it makes a ton of sense for them. And I think the only negative about all that, right, is really exciting to see these big brands coming over there, and new brands coming in and really bringing in kind of like a great diversity of fans. It only squeezed out some of the traditional or long-standing kind of New York Comic Con vendors and exhibitors.
I noticed that because there's a section there are kind of traditional sections for smaller vendors on the show floor at New York Comic Con where I think it would be easier to find like cosplay and costume stuff and cosplay and costume weaponry and accessories that wasn't there this year. There used to be like very like a very large and very a diverse selection of booths and vendors to choose from that was not there this year. I think part of that is offset somewhat by interestingly enough, there were more better and diverse food selections on the floor of the show floor, on the periphery this year more so than ever before. We actually knew, or at least we had a friend who knew all of those vendors. Matt missed out on our food exploration on Sunday.
Okay.
I'll tell him more about it off the air because he'll be jealous.
Okay, so I have a question in relation to something you just said, but now I got to know since you brought up the food thing. What kind of stuff?
Like really diverse stuff, like a Euro stand, like a bow stand, like a
okay.
No, Agent 70, you knew the bow stand.
I know, yeah, but they weren't there last year. This is their first year.
They were all those
I know the proprietor of the exact. What's that?
It started last year.
Oh, they did start last year.
Yeah.
So
I did notice that last year.
Right. So I think but then but because it just started last year, I think this is a continuing development then.
Okay. So
them, the banh mi, were the banh mi folks and the milk tea people there also last year?
Uh-oh.
Matt? Uh-oh. I think Matt froze.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Did you hear what I said?
No, sorry.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. What I said, were the banh mi people and the milk tea people, were they there last year also?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I did not know they were there last year.
It's very recent. It started like last year. It's very recent.
Right. So that's, but my point still stands is that this is, they're developing like a slightly different, I hate to put it this way, a flavor profile for the food choices at New York Comic Con.
Okay. So go ahead, Matt.
So I said, no, I was just saying, I totally agree.
Right. So, the vendor thing I understood. I think there's one thing that Matt pointed out to me that I underestimated, and I told him this after my full day. Actually, what he told me on Thursday evening, right? We were both at an event that Matt threw for creators, and which was a lot of fun. Former guest of the show, Crystal Velasquez, was there also. And former guest BDM as well. Nice. What Matt told me is that the Artist Alley this year is probably the best it's ever been, if not close to the best. And I actually got that same feedback from artists in Artist Alley when I actually dove in there basically for the entire day on Friday. Is that artists who may have been there once or had never been there and this was their first year said, look, every Artist Alley at every other con, including San Diego, pales in comparison to New York, and they all enjoy coming to New York for the most part, and especially the ones who had only been there once. Let's say it was their first time, like Elena Casagrande. She was very, very emphatic about saying this is such a great experience. It's the biggest Artist Alley in the world. So, when Matt told me that, I had not actually looked at the Artist Alley section of the website, and I missed a couple of names that weren't like featured on like the front page of the New York Comic Con website, and I had to go home, get some books, and bring them in on Saturday and Sunday to get signed. But it was an incredible Artist Alley. What was your Artist Alley like, Matt?
Yeah, no, look, it was like you walked around. Like I got there early Thursday when it just opened, and I was just walking around. That's when I was texting you. I was like, I had to think about like who was not there. What name did I not see? Right, and they had, names from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, current artists.
Right.
And it was, and they also had writers, right? Which they always have some writers, but I thought they always have Scott Snyder, Tom King was there this year.
Right.
G. Willow Wilson, which I was a little surprised, which was great. And
right. This is only her second time at New York Comic Con.
So it was, there were some of the international guys weren't there. I did notice two other things about Artist Alley. I did notice some artists who usually had booths on the main floor, on the show floor, they were in Artist Alley.
Interesting.
And several people, I could look, I counted like 5 or 6 of them. And I think that was part of the space issues on the main floor. And then I did notice, I was commenting to you about was the professionalization, I think, of some of the booths at Artist Alley, where it felt like some of them were definitely sponsored by like a authentication company, collectibles company, and they're all kind of grouped together.
Right.
And I saw that trend a couple years ago, and I saw that more now.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, okay, so which kind of brings me to my question, and shout out to Benji Games 2, who was in the chat. If you're just joining us, we're joined with friend of the show, Matt Wayne 97 and Agent 70, and he are regaling us with their tales from New York this past weekend's New York Comic Con. So my question, real quick, because I know time whatnot, wasn't New York already kind of becoming corporate in the past few years? Like, what makes this one seem to be more so than the last 5 or 10?
Agent 70, you want to start?
I think what Matt mentioned earlier about smaller vendors continually being kind of squeezed out for bigger activations and bigger floor footprints for some of the big manga publishers, which is something that we noticed like during the COVID comeback, right? The comeback from COVID, where we noticed that they were taking up big spaces because one, they weren't trying to crowd everyone, and two, they probably needed to sell the space, and so they probably got like that big upfront. As soon as you walk in, you run straight into Dragon Ball stuff, right? Toei animation stuff. As soon as you walk in, there's a gigantic Viz Media booth, right? That is prime real estate for people who are just walking in to the con, and so I figured New York Comic Con was selling it to them at a discount, but I think more and more now, as Matt said, as things become more and more corporate, at least on in terms of what's on the show floor, period. It's always going to be partially corporate because the bigger spaces are rented by or bought out by the bigger companies. But I think we're starting to see more and more that the smaller companies, the smaller booths, are being squeezed out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think it's only been, it feels like just a very recent trend, right? And
right.
These things go ebb and flow.
Sure.
And I think it just for Agent 70 and I, who've been going to this show since the beginning, seeing some of the texting some of the vendors who are traditionally there, who've really supported the show for a long time, it's a bummer, you didn't see your friend on the floor.
Right.
And we knew it was going to happen. And we're hopeful that, there's a lot of space and, that they'll, some of our friends will come back. But, I was talking to some other, independent comic book companies, and, it's just gotten harder for them, right? Where, their model changed post-COVID, and, a lot of comic book companies are going more direct to consumer. So, and so they have to rethink about how they use the floor, right? If they're, because some of these guys are selling, variants or selling to some of their hardcore customers, but who now go directly to them now rather than go to a convention to go buy stuff from them. Right. So it's a mix of both. Like, I think the show for reconfiguring as it becomes more quote unquote corporate, but it's also how these companies engage with their customers now. And it's like, are they thinking about the con as someplace to find new readers, right? I was talking to an editor, and who's also a writer, and he's like, I use the floor now to get readers, right? Like, I'm not trying to sell like $100 covers, because in the long term that's going to be better for me. So I think people are rethinking like how much they're spending on this trip. Like before, when it was a profit center, and now it's sort of like marketing budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is the thing you've kind of seen in other cons and other like video game cons and whatnot. Because like you can go direct to the people you're trying to get to as opposed to the end around or what's not. I was gonna ask you, what's the biggest thing what's the biggest and or the best thing that either one of you caught out on the show on the floor?
On the show floor?
Or just in general, I guess.
Listen, I was about to say, if you want to go through all the stuff, like any swag or artists that you saw, because I've got a long list. I was there all 4 days, parts of each day. So, and I had a lot of fun, kind of tracking things down. So,
right. Well, before we get into that, then I want to ask a question.
Because you could tell, I was going to say, you could tell I dropped my virtual background because I'm excited to do this.
I know. And before you get into that, because you mentioned something something else I forgot to ask you about, but you mentioned earlier that you met with the creators of Ghost Machine. And Matt, I don't know if you had talked to any of them about what's going on there, or if you knew anything about that. What do you make of any of that? But also, did either one of you run across that whole the Tom Hardy signing with the book he's supposedly doing?
No.
With I think Scott
Snyder.
No,
was it on the autograph floor with the incident?
I don't know about the incident. Don't know what the incident is, but probably I think it was.
Wait, are we talking about the incident with the poo?
I might be referring to that. Yes.
Okay. Now you got to talk about what happened. What was that about?
I wasn't there. I think Agent 70 was there. I was just reading about it.
I'd read about it. I heard about it. I wasn't there when it happened. Apparently, there was a pile of poo that was allegedly human poo in the middle of the autograph area, but it might very well have been a service dog or a non-service dog that was let in as a service dog. So it's unknown, and it's New York, so everyone just steps around it.
Sure.
So I did in fact see the whatchamahoots, the Ghost Machine folks, because I got the red coat signed by Brian Hitch and Jeff Johns, and I got the Geiger cover signed by most of the creators, and I did in fact see the creators. I got them to sign like the giant Ghost Machine promo poster that they these are like con exclusive covers, but if you pony up for that, right, you get them to sign a giant poster. All the creators sign like their creations for Ghost Machine, so it's hard to see, but there are signatures kind of scattered around the poster, right? And it's pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Like, it was my first time ever meeting Gary Frank. I had met Jeff Johns before, but it was my first time meeting Gary Frank. So it was pretty cool.
And I think I totally no, I'm caught up on who they are. It was definitely fascinating to read that. I'm excited for what they're going to do, and I'll probably check out some of the books. I think the things that were most exciting for me were definitely kind of Artist Alley.
Yes,
Quality of Artist Alley. I thought the walking around the eBay booth was really interesting and awesome. I think I think I had a friend who's working with Berg Schneider. They're the largest cosplay company in the world, and this was their first time near a Comic-Con. It was the first time they were at a pop culture con, and they have the license to do Dungeons and Dragons cosplay, and they were awesome. So they had them display. You can buy them, all the different classes: Ranger, Paladin, Cleric, and I think that was really neat. And they were, I'm not a cosplayer, I'm not a LARPer, but I have a lot of friends who are, and their stuff is well made and at a very reasonable price compared to like normal cosplay outfits.
This is something for folks of a certain vintage, but did they have Acrobat?
They didn't have Sheila the Acrobat, but they didn't have Cavalier either.
Pointy Shield. That's how I remember that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Shield.
Well, Agent 70, since you're chomping at the bit with your swag.
I'm
stuff,
digging it. Can't you just tell what I'm just digging out all the the great stuff I got?
Let's
But,
go ahead and get into that.
Oh my God! Right. So like and I want Matt. I want you to kind of chime in with some of the creators that you may have seen for the first time because you dropped a few names and some of the names that I saw for the very first time. Right. So first off, I'll lead with one of the names I saw for the very first time was Takeshi Miyazawa, the artist, co-creator of Mech Cadet U with Greg Pak. I got him to sign Mech Cadet U #1. I did buy some variants of the new Mech Cadet series that he signed. I did not get Greg Pak to sign them because he had stepped away from his booth, and by the time I circled back, it was the end of the con. But I'll have these for when I see him next. He is New York based, so it's more likely I'll see him before I see Takeshi Miyazawa, right? I did get his sketchbook, right, which is cool, right? That he had. Not every, very few artists have sketchbooks now, right? I remember when sketchbooks were a huge thing. I collected them.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that. I got him to sign with G. Willow the Miss Marvel #1.
Oh,
that
wow.
they did, right? So the hip hop cover and the regular cover.
I told Art Adams about you and not to sell you any more sketchbooks. Well, I said, my friend Agent 70, please don't sell him a sketchbook because he always dogs you on the internet.
Listen, I got a pretty good print from Art Adams. He wasn't there to sign it though, right? It came pre-signed.
Ooh,
Shiny Storm.
Nice.
Foil.
Did you see the New Mutants wraparound cover?
I did. I almost bought the Uncanny X-Men one, the old school Krakoa one, instead of this, but this is so good.
Wait, that's Fear Itself Storm? Or am I tripping?
No, it's Asgardian Storm.
Well, yeah, but didn't that come out of Fear Itself, or I'm thinking of something different?
No, we got to go all the way back to the Art Adams X-Men annuals.
Okay.
So, whatchamacallit? So yeah, that's going up on the wall. I got to redecorate my home office. Whatchamacallit? Give me 1 second. For Tak Miyazawa, right? So because it was my first time meeting him, we are such big fans of his on the show. I ponied up some dough. I told Matt about this, and he said it was a very reasonable price. I commissioned some original sketch art by him. And I asked, and Roddykat assumed I asked for Kamala Khan. I did not. I asked for one Gwendolyn Stacy, Spider-Gwen.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah. For those that are not watching the video version, you should. You're missing out.
That's pretty cool. So I was very happy with this sketch. Matt and I have been kind of going back and forth like, oh, sketches are too expensive, blah, blah, blah. I think I found a happy price point for myself. Matt is a baller. I don't ball on Matt's level. So I am a minor league baller compared to Matt being in the major league. So I will say that, I think I've reached a comfortable price point. So if I see an artist that I like offering comparable prices for something like this, I might bite maybe for 1 or 2 during a con. Right? Maybe. I'm just going to be very judicious and somewhat frugal about my choices, but now I'm more comfortable with this particular price point, right? Because I see the quality of the work I got, and I was like, yeah, that works,
Mm-hmm.
The person you introduced me to, her quality of work is really high.
You mean Agnes Garbowska,
mm-hmm.
who painted this for me from Haikyuu?
I was about to say, you didn't already know her?
Yeah, we met her last year.
Huh.
We met her last year, and she remembered me. She remembered what she painted for my niece. I showed her the video, and she was very happy to see it. She's like, I remember that. That was great. So this is a character from Haikyuu. I was not dressed as anyone from Haikyuu this day. I just, said, please, this is one of my favorite characters from the show, the manager, the female manager. So this is pretty awesome. Did you get anything from Agnes this year, Matt?
I got online, and if there was not one person, I found the line was really short, and then there was two people ahead of me, and I just had to I couldn't stay. So not this year. But I did get something at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, nice.
That piece, it was the Ghost Spider and Spinnerella piece.
Right.
She never did Spinnerella, so she was really excited to do her.
I remember that. You showed us that. That's right. That's really cool. So, another character that another creator I had not seen yet prior to this New York Comic Con was Jason Aaron, and I got him to sign the Mighty Thor, the Thor God of Thunder 1 and 2, and the Valkyrie #1. That was great. I had a great conversation with Jason Aaron.
Why didn't you bring your scalp #1? Come on.
No, I didn't have that.
I was about to ask about Thor's.
Yeah, no, I should have brought Thor. I should have dug that out. Part of me is just like, you know what? You have to pack. You have to be smart because I'm carrying all this stuff. Right now I am without a whip. No ride. So I'm carrying a lot of this stuff. So I have to be very smart about what I carry. Circling back to some current, relatively recent Ms. Marvel stuff, I got G. Willow and Saladin Ahmed to sign this. They contributed to the Fallen Friend book. More Ms. Marvel, G. Willow from the first run. Chip Zdarsky's last issue on Daredevil and his cover on it. So he signed it to me and sketched on it. Nice. He and I had a very long conversation about where he left off. It was his idea to leave Matt Murdock in a particular spot, and Saladin Ahmed is doing an excellent job of picking up the ball from there. And I got him to sign this Daredevil #1. I did not get Frank Miller to sign this alternate cover though. I did see, again, I was telling Roddykat that I got the Hunger and the Dusk. I didn't show it, but this is the Con variant cover for G. Willow Wilson's new creator-owned series. Got her to sign that. I did see the Simonsons. I always see the Simonsons. Love seeing the Simonsons. Very sad to hear that they caught COVID at the con, but they are, they're recuperating right now. And I got him to sign. I got him and Wheezy to sign this issue of Power Pack that I dug up out of my collection. I didn't realize I had it, but they both worked on it. Wheezy wrote it, and Walt did the cover. And I got Walt to sign some of the. He did a long Thor run that I love, right? That I adore, and he signed a lot of it already. And I was very surprised in my collection to see certain issues that he had not yet signed. One of them is, this is like the second in the Frog trilogy, right? I got him to sign this. This is, I think, the 4th issue in the Beta Ray Bill story. I finally got him to sign this. And probably one of my favorite Simonson stories of all time. It's something that was referenced in this week's Avengers Inc. #2. The god that stood alone and defended the bridge at Gyalarbrew. I could not believe I did not have this issue signed by Simonson until this con. And when I spoke to him about it, I said, when I read this, it still brings me to tears. And Wheezy said, that's a wonderful thing to say. Mm-hmm. So, and he thanked me for that. I could not believe, to this point, I had not yet gotten him to sign this, one of my favorite comics.
I will have to, one day I will ask the question of, I've only met Walt, I've never met Wheezy. I want to ask her, because I've asked him, so, I'm a big fan of Power Pack and, June Brigman and Wheezy, and they, I don't know if you remember, in Power Pack, they moved to New York.
Right.
And the elementary school and the middle school that they attended were real schools, because those were my schools.
There it is.
It was my schools on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, PSA 7 and IS 44. And as kids, we were like shocked. We're like, one, power pack their our age, and literally we'd be like, they go to our school. Mm-hmm. So I've always wanted to know if they lived in the neighborhood, which is why they, put real schools. Like,
well, they lived in New York City at the time, I think.
Yeah, so they must have lived in the Upper West Side.
Yeah, I know that they moved around New York City a bit. I think at one point they lived in Brooklyn Heights, but before they moved up to Westchester, or to Orange County. But yeah, I've heard them tell stories about where they lived in New York City. But yeah, I'd be happy to hear their answer to that particular question.
And Matt, I know you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, Matt, I know your ears was burning when the news that Wheezy and June is gonna pick back up Power Pack again, because we were talking about that week that it was announced.
All right.
Yeah, and I had dinner with a friend recently, who knows that, and he's offered to, like, next time he's in New York, invite me to their house, and I was like, I'm trying to remind him that he offered that to me. So I haven't figured out the right way to pull that trigger.
I swear, if you bring me along, they'll be like, we know this guy. We don't remember his name, but we know this guy. Very quickly, I think I mentioned this to Roddykat before, that this is my first time meeting Elena Casagrande, the artist, who really did a bang-up job on Black Widow, that is. Mm-hmm. And while these are the J. Scott Campbell variants, Elena Casagrande does the interiors, and she signed this. And she is an incredible person, an incredible artist. And she spoke to me at length about what excites her, about what really drives some of the action and the choreography, and how, like in her artwork, she gets excited by the scripts. It's the scripts that drive her art, right? And I'm like, well, your Blade work is good, but maybe the scripts could be better, because that Black Widow stuff was awesome, So I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. I saw Tom King finally. I think I mentioned that earlier, so I got him to sign some Vision stuff and Mr. Miracle. So you can see here, Vision #1. Signed by Tom King, the Mr. Miracle #1, signed by Tom King, and Miss Gerard's, but I got him to sign that like years ago. And more Tom King here. See a signature. It's a very simple signature. And more Tom King here. I ran into former guest of the show, Sanford Green, and I saved this part because I got some prints from him. And, I got him to sign this kind of, 2-part gatefold cover, which is an homage to the old school Ohatmu covers, right? And he appreciated that I brought these particular covers to get him to sign. I got some prints from him, and, Sanford, contributed to some stuff for the 50th anniversary of hip hop and Rock the Bells. And one of the prints that he was selling was specific to that. And that is this, for Rock the Bells.
Nice.
Right? Another print that he did was for, one of the MCs coming from Queensbridge for Nas. Right? You can see, the Queensboro Bridge and the Queensbridge projects there, and Nas. So I got this print, which is pretty cool. Obviously, you see it's printed with the help of Mass Appeal, which is one of the publications and the publishers, and one of the driving forces behind the 50th anniversary of hip hop celebrations. I also picked up, I think I have to find the right size frame for this. This is one of the favorite things I picked up. I saw this online. I saw the image online. For Rakim, this is an incredible print right here. This is incredible by Sanford Green. I cannot wait to frame this. I might bring this to the office and hang this. This is so good. I kind of like leaving it at home, like redecorating my office at home with some fresh stuff. But I really like this. And for the comic people, some Across the Spider-Verse. that Sanford Greene did, because I know he did some of the official art for the movie and the official designs. So I think some of this is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. And, everyone knows I'm a big fan of Mouse Guard. David Peterson was there, picked up this beautiful print of Mouse Guard. This is going to go up and get framed. And last but not least, it's like I check in with DMC every year. He's at every New York Comic Con. And he remembers me, for whatever reason. He's like, yeah, man, how you doing? Because I happened to buy something from him, then left it there. And came back the next day, and he remembered to put it aside for me. So that's why he remembers me. So, picked up, this poster this print that he was selling for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Picked up his kids book, Daryl's Dream. Probably give this to my niece. And I actually got some shirts from the Marvel booth. I got the Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. It's a little busy.
You lined up for that. Nice.
There was no line, right?
Really?
Yeah, there was no line. There was no line.
Wow.
Our mutual friend that I was hanging with on Sunday, and her family were got on the Marvel line and picked up t-shirts.
That's
right?
a pretty sweet shirt.
This is a little busy for my tastes, right? In terms of like t-shirts, but because I love Secret Wars, I'm willing to make an exception. Right, and it has like a cool like anniversary thing on the back too. Right?
Okay.
And I did dive into the anime stuff a little bit, right? The anime and the manga. I got a Goku shirt.
Yes, he's now official,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen.
Well, no, I have Attack on Titan stuff. I got a lot of Titan. Like
No,
I
but
shied
you're
away from
official
getting any Attack on
now.
Titan shirt.
Right.
Right.
But
And I got a Spy Family t-shirt.
Nice. Oh, cool.
Yep. So yeah, I got like a ton of stuff. I had a lot of fun this Comic-Con, just buying things here and there and supporting the artists that I love and admire and respect, and just get like kind of spreading it around, like not buying anything that was like too high price pointy, no statues, no like super expensive toys. It was like, here and there, just kind of, helping out vendors and helping out creators. And like, obviously the one big thing was a commission piece from Takeshi Miyazawa. But other than that, it was really just, if a creator was charging like $5 or $10 a sig, you pay it, and you know what, you have like 2 or 3 books to get signed. You're helping them out, and that works for me. And that was my con. I think this is like my first con that was like really, other than like the increased budget, that is just a fact of life now. This is my first con that really felt like it was even well before pre-pandemic.
Gotcha.
So it feels like the con was really bouncing back this year.
Cool.
Like
Matt,
almost.
I'm sorry, Grant.
I mean, traffic was crazy on Sunday. It was like it felt like you remember you and I were texting all all weekend, and we were and our and our friend Crystal and she was texting me, and it was just like even Thursday. I was there Thursday, and then I was there like late Friday afternoon. It was crazy.
Yeah, I ran into you like late. What was it, like late Friday?
Yeah, late Friday.
I ran into Matt in Artist Alley. He was on his way out, and I was still in the middle of like keeping my head down and just getting signatures. I was showing him stuff that I had picked up, and it was, like that was my day in Artist Alley, was Friday.
We're talking about how crazy and big the place is, and then just bump into people right?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there are going to be times when you don't bump into people at all, right? Because they're just hanging out in certain sections of the con that you don't frequent. Like they're in like a one of our mutual classmates, he brought his family, and I didn't run into them until Sunday. They only had Sunday passes, but they tended to stay in a part of the con that I do not frequent that often. But I made my way down there, and ironically, you know what other booth was down there? Robosen.
Huh.
Did you see the Robosen booth, Matt? You didn't get to see the real life recreation of Grimlock?
Oh no! Wait, are you talking about not the life size one, right?
Not the life size one. No, the little toy size one. Yeah.
I saw that in San Diego.
Oh, okay, good. As long as you've seen that, then I'm glad. But that was my first time seeing it. I got video. I may post it, but at the end of the day, Roddy, that was a lot of fun.
I don't doubt it. At all. Wait, you said they had a life size version, or
not a life size? When I say life size, I mean not like the little itty bitty handheld toy, but right. Yeah, like the larger size version. I misspoke. I apologize.
You talk about your Battle Royale cosplay on Sunday?
Not Battle Royale, Haikyuu. Haikyuu, how dare you? It was Haikyuu, right? So I did show Roddykat a photo. I'll probably post it and call it a late post, probably tomorrow, and just say, look, it's been a crazy week post Comic-Con. I'm still recovering. My home office is still recovering. It's a gigantic disaster area, and I'm going to be, redecorating with stuff that I picked up on the walls shortly. As I pick up frames and whatnot and try to figure out, how to rearrange things, but. I did not post this this photo that my buddy took of me in my Haikyuu cosplay. But yeah, it turned out pretty well. It turned out well.
Cool. Matt, did you pick up anything, and how much longer do we have you for?
I stay on for probably a couple 5-10 more minutes. I did, it was mainly just as Agent 70 knows, I'm there to catch up with people and friends, especially if you don't live in New York. I was at dinner with friends last night from the industry, and so I didn't have a lot of time to try to pick up stuff. I picked up Nick Patera's book. You might know him. He was the artist on Manhattan Projects,
right?
Mm-hmm. And he had a book he backed on Zoop. That I picked up. It's beautiful. Slightly on the gorier side than stuff I get now these days, but it was great. Wonderful book. And I loved him on Manhattan Projects. Swung by Greg Pak's booth, picked up a bunch of stuff from him. I love supporting him.
He gave me a free, he gave me a free thing that a comic he did for the city of New York. But go on, Matt.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. And is he still in Brooklyn? He's a Brooklyn guy, right?
He's in the 5 boroughs. I want to say he lives in the Bronx, actually.
Oh, okay.
But he's definitely in the 5 boroughs.
Then my girls are a big fan of Art Balthazar, so I picked up a bunch of stuff from him, and he did some nice sketches. So, so that was kind of stuff I picked up. There's some stuff in the Marvel booth. I really wanted to swing. Agent 70. Who had all the X-Men stuff? Was that Heroes and Villains?
Yes, that was Heroes and Villains. They had a specific X-Men booth, which was really nice. They had some nice T-shirts. They had a Letterman's jacket that my buddy Malcolm and I, when we saw it, we were like, we'd actually wear that now. It was like an X-Men Letterman's jacket. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, that was Heroes and Villains.
Yeah. I got stuff. I won a raffle from them last year. I bought some D&D stuff from them last year. So, it was a beautiful booth, and their stuff looked great. Their quality is really good. So
yes,
I think I might order something from their site later. But yeah, no, I was just really there to catch up with people. Didn't really pick up anything. I took a lot of pictures. I brought my family on Sunday, and they took a lot of pictures with people. They just loved the costumes, and Sunday's a great day. I think Agent 70 pointed that out to me a couple of years ago. It was a great kids' day. Sunday morning, the floor is not that crowded, and there are a lot of kids in costumes, and they had Dogman out. People in Turtles outfits. All the cosplayers were wonderful to take pictures with.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you pick up anything that was in that poster tube? I saw you carrying around a poster tube. Did you get anything cool?
No, that was my lightsaber.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, what'd you get?
No, I picked up a lightsaber in Disney World. So
yeah, what'd you get? Or whose was it?
I got I got the piece handle. A lot of people wanted purple and red. I went with green.
Okay.
Of course.
Did you see the High Republic ones that they were? I guess I don't know if they're just starting to put those out there or not.
Yeah, mine look High Republic-y when you see it.
Okay. Sweet. Cool. Well, that sounds like it was a good New York Comic Con once again. Let us, while we still have Matt a little bit, let's blow into some news real quick. Don't have much cinematic, but we got some stuff from the Comic Con. Maybe you want to chime in on it if you wants to. So
sure, let's go.
So let's get into the news. Fire it up.
Into the news.
Something I got to show Agent 70 for later. Y'all didn't see that. And also, wow, I got to fix the shot while I talk about the first thing, which is cinematic news. Invincible Season 2 trailer has Mark struggling with his father's legacy as he faces new threats. I have not watched this trailer. In fact, I hadn't watched that Adam Eve thing that was out there. Actually, there was another piece of Adam Eve, piece of Invincible news that I totally forgot to put in, but that's fine. But yeah, that's shortly coming, and there's a new trailer coming out, which that's going to the second season is going to be on November 3rd, and I hear people kind of really liking that trailer. So I don't know if either one of you saw it.
Have not yet. You, Matt?
Oh yeah. No, I'm super excited. Excited.
Did you watch the Adam Eve? What is that like? Miniseries?
No. It was one. It was
a one-off. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not watch it.
Episode. Yeah,
I need to watch that.
It is. I think some of the best, some of the highest quality animation out there. Voice acting is great. If you're a fan of the book, you'll love this, and if you're not a fan, you'll still love it.
Gotcha. All right. Next up. So before Matthew Vaughn earned critical acclaim for rebooting the X-Men movie franchise with 2011's X-Men First Class, he was courted to replace Bryan Singer as the director of 2006's X-Men The Last Stand. So apparently, Matthew Vaughn recently revealed at New York Comic Con via Screen Rant that he rejected the offer to direct the sequel, X-Men The Last Stand, after discovering a studio executive's plan to deceive Halle Berry into reprising her role as Storm. So one of the main reasons he quit X-Men #3, and this is a true story, Vaughn said, was that he went to an executive's office and saw an X3 script. It was a lot fatter. He asked, "What is this draft?" They were like, "Don't worry about it." So he grabbed it and opened the first page, and it said, "Africa, kids dying from no water, and Storm creates a thunderstorm to save all these children." And apparently that script was bogus. And so he quit soon after.
Yeah, this was some recent news that just came out. I was like, I feel like I can't be surprised that something like this would happen, but also that's weird timing that this would come out.
Right.
So,
yeah. Basically, the story is that the executive said once Halle signs on because of the script, they'll throw it into the bin, and that sucks.
Yeah. And so did X-Men 3. Oh!
There it is.
Y'all know it's true. Rob Liefeld teams up with Deadpool stunt coordinator for Bloodstrike proof of concept trailer.
Oh, Lord.
Yep, moving right along. We get into the anime corner.
Into the anime corner. Transmute. Yes, it's Battle of the Planets. So, Kaiju number 8 anime is set to stream on Crunchyroll in April 2024. There was a lot of Kaiju number 8 stuff.
I don't doubt it.
At New York Comic Con. There was a lot of it. So, Kaiju number 8, the monster anime series coming from Production IG, who did Psycho-Pass and Haikyuu, is officially headed to Crunchyroll, both subbed and dubbed, in April 2024. That's good news.
Yeah. So I talked about this last week, and I'm just bringing this up here. I know y'all may have seen it on the floor, probably heard about it. The new Dragon Ball project, which is Dragon Ball Daima, which is basically going back into the Dragon Ball well with not only Goku as a kid, but pretty much everybody else. So I think this seems like they're retelling the Dragon Ball story with everybody, or is it Dragon Ball Z with everybody being kids?
Yeah, Z. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be Z.
Yeah. So I was like, that's a weird thing. And Toriyama's on board, so I was like, okay, naturally at that point, but like that's a weird thing to do, but also anniversary stuff. So I guess that would be more the reason, as opposed to
it's the 40th anniversary of the manga, not the anime, because we ain't that old.
Right. I mean, we're old, but we ain't. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're up there.
We ain't that old. So all right. So
Manga
we're gonna transition. We're gonna transition into the the manga corner.
Mm-hmm. Every time he does that, I have to turn my head to see if I can still find my goddamn box set of that. But it'll happen.
Unfortunately, guys, I
gotta go.
I need to tap out.
Okay.
But it's really good to see you guys. And,
Of course.
Not a problem.
Hopefully,
Dude,
let me know.
I'm literally gonna see you tomorrow.
Oh no, 2 days. No, 2 days.
Oh, today's Friday. It's Friday. It's 12:18 a.m. So it's
So busy you can't keep track.
we crossed into Friday already. I will
Yes.
see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on so we can get your takes on some of the stuff and what you've been reading and everything about that. But as always, it is great having you on there, sir.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Take it easy. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace. All right. So he jumped off just in time for the manga corner.
Mhm.
Take it away.
Hey, there's more manga coming in summer 2024, including Naruto spinoffs, more Juji Ito, and other stuff. So yeah, this is a thing from Crunchyroll highlighting some of their summer 2024 manga outings, including looks like they're reissuing My Neighbor Totoro. From
No kidding.
Yep, and says a repackaged Haikyuu.
Yes.
Which I knew would get Agent Stephanie. And some other stuff, including some Spy Family stuff and some other stuff that I'm not too familiar with. But those are looks like Deadpool Samurai getting a coloring book, and some Disney stuff and some Star Wars stuff. So yes. Oh, Star Wars Visions to be specific. It looks like they're doing a manga anthology of that
So
stuff.
I will mention something.
Okay.
A particular booth, right? So the Shueisha app, the Manga Plus app,
Yes.
right, had an incredible activation, right? Because they're trying to get people to do, to subscribe to Shueisha, direct, to the direct publisher of some of these manga,
Right.
as opposed to going to Shonen Jump, right? And my buddy Malcolm and I are trying to figure it out, whether or not, because he subscribes to Shonen Jump, and I, obviously I've been hemming and hawing for months, right?
Mhm. That's on the record.
Or the better part of a year, right? It's on the record. It's online, right? And now we've got Shueisha, and if there's one thing in Shueisha's favor, is that they had the best looking booth staff It had some incredible looking women working in the booth.
So wait, is this
That's a mic drop right there, folks. Shout out to Shueisha, because both Malcolm and I noticed that right away.
Yeah, they know how to pull them in. So they're doing something. They were doing something for their Manga Plus app, or they had another app that they're doing.
No, for the Manga Plus app.
Okay,
because if you downloaded it, you got like a button, and because I have it, it's somewhere, But yeah, it was because I'm looking at it now on my iPad Pro, and it's I had to download it to my phone because it's not like I was carrying my iPad with me.
Right.
But because it downloads to my devices, it's on my iPad Pro, and I'm like, so it's because it has all the stuff I want to read, right? Like it has Dragon Ball Super, it has Haikyuu, it has so I'm like, so which one do I subscribe to,
Right, which is the issue with all these different ones, because some of them double dip, and then some of them are like, well, okay, I'm only going to get this one over here, or vice versa, whatever the case may be, or whatever comes there. So it is a kind of a minefield, but
yeah, it's a little tough right now trying to figure it out. Like, where do I dive in?
Right, for newer people, because I'm pretty sure the people who have already been in the shit for a while, kind of already got that settled out for themselves. So
right, all right.
Next up, though, we're getting into Comic Book Corner. Oh, what the hell? Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, no, we didn't do the manga thing. So did you do the Jujutsu Kaisen story?
Oh, wait, did I skip that one?
Yeah. I was about to say, we didn't do any of these stories yet.
Wait, what did I miss then?
I was just talking about the Shueisha because it just came up because of manga.
Oh, wait, which sheet are you on?
Oh, I'm on the wrong sheet. I apologize.
Yeah. You were on last week's sheet.
I was on last week's sheet.
Yeah.
I was on last week's sheet because I was looking at it for last week's news for a second. I apologize, folks.
No, you're good.
So you did the Naruto spinoff?
Yes.
You did that one already?
Yeah. So now we're into comic book news.
Okay, comic book news. So, Blood Hunt, Marvel Comics' next crossover event, has been revealed. So this was revealed at Marvel's The Next Big Thing panel, and this is the big Marvel major crossover event in spring 2024. Basically, it's Jed McKay and Pepe Larraz and Marte Gracia throwing the Marvel publishing universe into the deep end with vampires.
Although we got a slice of that, no pun intended, in this week's Miles Morales Spider-Man number 11. I suspect is probably teasing out going into this, which I didn't think about until I saw this article.
Right.
So, which JPK is not writing any of that, but still, yeah. Regardless, so yeah, this is the next event after Gang War, vampires. And if you're watching the video version, you can see most of if not all of the people involved, including Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Blade, looks like Tigra, Doctor Strange, probably naturally, Sam Wilson, Black Panther, and the Vision and Thor, and Scarlet Witch, to name a few that is on this cover. And the tagline is "Who will bite it?" So,
oh, goodness gracious!
Says, quote, there's a quote here. We have vampires in our books all the time. There's some bad blood there, Jed McKay says. What happens if the shoe is on the other foot? We got the Avengers, Moon Knight's Midnight Mission, Doctor Strange, Miles Morales, and of course Blade, and there's going to be more vampires than you can shake a stick at. So,
yeah, I mean, they've been building for a while, right? It kind of went away a little bit because, Blade stopped being like an active Avenger, but it was being highlighted, the Vampire Nation at Chernobyl. So, we'll see. There's probably some stuff coming out of that. We've seen some vampire stuff in the pages of Moon Knight as well. So, that Jet K is writing. So.
Right. So, next, and like I said, this week's Miles Morales definitely kind of feel like this It's probably teasing in a little bit of this also. Next up, though. What the heck?
All right. Wait, so you did the Scarlet Witch story?
No, I'm pulling it up now.
Oh, that's
I'm
you.
just yeah, because these Marvel articles have somehow given me a load screen. I mean, a sign-in screen for some dumb reason. So
Interesting.
Yeah, weird. So there's a new Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver comic book that was announced during November New York Comic Con. So it is going to be the writer of the current Scarlet Witch book, which I guess that would make sense why Quicksilver has been popping in and out lately, including this week's issue. So yeah, Steve Orlando. Let's see. Oh, it says, it's a 4-issue limited series, which that kind of harkens back to the earlier days of Scarlet Witch getting a book. It's 4-issue limited series marks an exciting evolution for Orlando's hit run on Scarlet Witch, according to this article. Let's see. Orlando adds Pietro to the mix, which is her brother, and they didn't have to recast him. With a new chapter in the twins' storied legacy, which means, please don't tell me they're going to rewrite their history again. They're going to retcon their history again. But Orlando will be joined by Scarlet Witch artist Lorenzo Tometa and superstar artist Russell Darderman, who I'm guessing is doing covers. Will return to grace the series with spellbinding covers, like I just said. Haha, called it. That is going to be due to their 60th anniversary of the two characters, and this is going to go on sale Valentine's Day, February 14th. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Catch it. Next up.
All right. So Marvel Comics revealed its new Ultimate Universe. So spinning out of Ultimate Universe #1 this upcoming month. Hickman and Marco Cacchetto are doing Ultimate Spider-Man. Brian Hill, former guest of the show, and Stefano Caselli are doing Ultimate Black Panther, and Peach Momoko is doing Ultimate X-Men. That's interesting stuff. These 3 new series will launch in 2024 as part of Marvel's new Ultimate line. That's interesting.
Yeah, I talked about a little, or at least teased a little bit of this last week. So shout out to Brian Hill for that. Because I think the reason why I came across this is when I saw him tweeting about it. I forgot what he said, but it was an amusing caption. So cool, yeah. The Black Panther. There's never been a Ultimate Black Panther book, so this is the first for this thing. Still trying to parse out this whole universe thing, because now that I think about it, I did read that last that Ultimate miniseries that just ended, and I'm like, okay. I see where it kind of starts stuff to back up, but to what end? Don't know. Anyway, well, I guess we'll find out whenever that first book comes out, which I think is the first book Spidey again? Or is it Ultimate Universe?
Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, Ultimate Universe is the first book. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ultimate Universe comes out first.
Yeah, and
it's going to come out this year, and then the new series the various new series will launch in 2024.
Right, and then that's the Hickman book.
It's not that 2024 is all that far away anymore.
It very much is not. It'll be here for you know. Yeah, Ultimate Universe is the Hickman book, which he was the one over that thing, and we'll talk more about that when we get closer to that in a couple of weeks, actually. Next up, though, get ready for the fiercest claws over of the Symmetry in Infinity Pause. Yeah, so it's a Marvel Unlimited Infinity comic that is coming, and if the title that I just mentioned doesn't give you any kind of thought to what it's going to be, there's an Infinity Gauntlet in paw shaped, and we got the Marvel animals involved, which I wonder if it's peeking out of that Unleashed book that is going on right now, which so I'm kind of curious about that. But it says here that Jason Liu, it looks like, is going to be the writer, and colorist Now Fuji, who I guess was on Marvel Now, is going to be heading up this book, which features Jeff the Landshark, Chewie, which is Carol Danvers, Flurkin, Alligator Loki, and Lucky the Pizza Dog. all in a book. So if that one that's going on right now wasn't enough for you, hey, folks, we got another one coming. Next up.
The beginning of the end of the X-Men's revolutionary Krakoan age was revealed at Marvel's Next Big Thing panel at New York Comic Con. So CB Cebulski, Jerry Duggan, and X-Men Red Rider Al Ewing shared shocking details about the pair of intertwined series that will close out Mutant Kind's current era this January, Fall of the House of X, and Rise of the Powers of X, or Powers of 10, as well as one of the tie-in series spinning out of these events, the resurrection of, spoiler alert, Magneto.
Yeah, and I feel like we're probably seeing shades of that in Scarlet Witch book. But I could be wrong about how that's playing out. Or I might be right. I don't know. It feels a little too convenient. And yeah, I think I talked a little bit about the reservation of Magneto stuff last week, but yeah, it's more to that. We have a panel this is an article talking about the Gang War panel that was from New York Comic Con, and that is talking about the titles that are coming out starting in January, and the article kind of goes through that with covers and what. Pardon?
Oh no, I'm good.
Oh, I thought you said.
I was just moving stuff around. Sorry,
I got you. No,
I should have muted myself.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. And also, I'm hearing myself double for some reason. What is that? Okay, it's gone now. Anywho, but yeah, I'm just flipping through the covers, and you can check out the article for yourself if you want to see more on that. Next up. Hold on for a second. Hold on.
I was muted.
Well,
New
not
York
on that, but you were stuttering too. Your video was stuttering too, so
yeah,
should be all right now. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, interesting. I don't know what just happened. Oh, probably because there's something leaning on my keyboard. Look at that. Oh, there it is. So we get a new look at the Avengers Twilight Court super team. So this is the a tease, I guess, from the Avengers Assemble panel. So this is a super team known as the Twilight Court. Little is known about them, though it's fairly obvious they'll be fighting the Avengers soon. They'll be appearing in Avengers number 9 and 10, and solicitations were released for these two issues. Interesting. So, at the end of the day, this new Avengers run is all about introducing new foes for the Avengers to fight and establishing a new ship, basically, for them, a new base for them to operate from. I did catch up and read last week's issue of Avengers today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I feel like I talked about last week, but I feel like the X Factor stuff still stands. So
Yeah.
Everything that was announced at the Women of Marvel panel, including It's Jeff 25 and Marvel's Voices Loki Presents. But also, I believe there is going to be an anthology called the Women of Marvel, written by Gail Simone and others, to be announced, with the cover by Carmen Carnero, which is going to go on sale February 2024. It says here that the anthology will feature special stories by writers including Gail Simone and the covers by Carmen Carnero. So, the Loki, the Loki, Infinity book is called The Buy Fast and Furious.
Oh my goodness.
Well, at least that's the first one. And of course, and I say of course, because now I'm seeing who's writing it, it makes total sense. Carla Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
That is, yeah. With art by Roberta Ingranata and other stuff that is in his. So, cool. Next up.
Right, so the link that you have for this story is different from what pops up.
Oh, which one?
At the Marvel site. The Marvel's Voices Legends celebrates Black History Month with Misty Knight, Patriot, and more. So the article that comes up is actually about Black Widow embracing her symbiote powers in Derek Chu's Thunderbolts #1.
Yeah, that was an issue with something I was doing when I was putting the book in. Doggone it, I have to find that link again. But go ahead and do that Black Widow one while I try to figure that one out.
Yeah, so bottom line is Derek Chu has a variant cover for Thunderbolts #1, which emphasizes Natasha Romanoff's new capabilities with her symbiote suit because she has bonded with an all-new symbiote.
Yeah, going into that new Thunderbolts book that is going on.
Right.
Which I guess came out of that Venom stuff.
Yep. Venom.
Yeah, which again, neither one of us is reading because who fucking cares?
Yeah. Well, we can't read everything, folks. We try, but we read a lot. So.
Sure, that too. But let's be honest, neither one of us cares because I give a fuck about that. Let's keep it a book. All right, here we go. I'll now do that Black History thing since I just found the links to it. God damn it! Wait, you just did it again. What the hell? What is going on?
Must be on Marvel side.
No. I just put the link in from Marvel. Here we go. There we go. I'll just pull that over. Marvel Voices Legends celebrates Black History Month with Misty Knight, Patriot, and more. So yeah, there's a new book called Marvel Voices Legends that's going to go on sale January 31st, of course, in time for Black History Month. Some of the writers involved are David F. Walker, Justina Ireland, let's see, Ezra Clayton Daniels, Sean Damian Hill, Michael. Wait, no, that's not a writer. But yeah, that's just some of the names involved with stories in this here book. So cool. And the cover is being done by Kanan White. You can see it here if you're watching the video version. And it's a nice looking cover. So have to check that out. Next up.
Live action Harrison Dula gets a very lifelike Hot Toys figure.
Perfect that you got that one.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So yeah, I saw this lifelike figure. It's pretty good. The likeness to one Elizabeth. Whatchamacallit, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is pretty cool. So yeah,
as you can contest to.
Nice. Yes, I can absolutely attest to this. And there is, in fact, the right angles provided in the preview pictures.
And of course, since it's a Hot Toys joint, it's $275 according to this article, or around about.
Yes, but they're gonna give one for free to her. I would hope.
I would think so. I would hope so. Yeah.
I would hope so.
So I am scrolling through the pictures really quickly so you can check it out for yourself. Obviously, with Hot Toys, they're very detailed, hence the reason why they cost so much money. Part of the reason why they cost so much money. So there you go. I don't know if that chopper comes with it, but yeah, I guess so, because it's chopper. Well, maybe not. I don't see that. Because there's a couple of pictures here with chopper, but I don't see anything listed about that.
That would be an interesting addition,
right? If
they made that like made her the character that they sold it with.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see that, but okay, but yeah, you can check that out from the article in the show notes. Next up, though, Godzilla Day. I'm sorry, what? So
I was about to say no. We're just gonna keep lingering on the pictures. I don't know what the hurry is. Anyway, go on, carry on.
Oh boy, you're so silly. Wait, did I pull that one? I think I did. I'm sure. So, actually, something I was going to ask you about that if you saw anything about, but I'll get to that in a minute. Godzilla Day offerings include special merch, toys, and more. So Godzilla Day is coming up next month, and to be a fact, November 3rd. And it says here to commemorate the 69th annual celebration of the iconic franchise. What the world was that? All right,
That wasn't me.
No, that was on my end. I don't know what.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a Windows sound. I'm on a Mac.
Yeah, I don't know what caused that though. But anywho, Toho International announces the Scarlet Godzilla Day lineup of activities and merch, and of course, beginning with ticket sales for Godzilla -1, which is coming up in December.
Crazy.
But it does.
I was gonna say, wait. When is so December 1st? Now I'm gonna make sure to check my schedule to make sure I can catch that at some point. We probably won't have to worry about movie protocol because Roddykat won't be going to that. So I'll probably just make my own time to go to that.
So wait. Okay, no. Okay, I wanted to confirm. It was like because I didn't know if that December 1st was the Japanese showing or the U.S. and it is.
No, that's
the
U.S. showing.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know. I am interested in it, but yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go because I didn't go to see Shin Kamen Rider either, but or Shin Godzilla for that matter, even though I wanted to.
Right. No, I definitely saw Shin Godzilla in the theaters. So
yeah,
I mean, I'll see this. It may not be opening night, but I'm definitely going to go catch it.
Yeah, and it reiterates the reshowing of Godzilla 2000, which we already talked about. That's going to be on November 1st, and see, Shout Factory's doing some. Oh, okay, Shout Factory. There we go. Shout Factory's redoing the Godzilla marathon that it did on their Twitch channel. And that included John Carpenter and goes through the 4 films, just like it did the last time. And it's like there's going to be some Super 7 and U2's stuff as merch, like a Godzilla mug, Mothra plush, and some other stuff. Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to head over to the Kinokuniya store that's close to my office in Manhattan. And I guess they're going to have some new Godzilla merch on November 3rd as well.
Right.
Reading further down in this article. So that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, Mondo's doing some stuff. Funko, of course, doing some stuff. So yeah, it's merch all the way around. Next up, so some DC news from New York Comic Con. DC announced the return of Elseworlds in 2024. So, that is, of course, we know the former line of DC Comics that told their version, but much more in-depth versions of what-if stories. So they revealed upcoming comic book titles: Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, Batman the Barbarian, Green Lantern, Dark, with more to come. Scheduled to publish in 2024, DC's new Elseworlds lineup will also include sequels to best-selling series Dark Knights of Steel and DC vs. Vampires. DC's original Elseworlds line was established way back in 1991 with the release of Batman Holy Terror. So guess what, folks?
I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Kingdom Come also came out as, which I referenced when I talked about Batman Superman from this week.
That's right. And Batman and Dracula Red Rain. But yeah, I guess Superman Red Sun, Kingdom Come, and or like kind of like the big ones. Batman, whatchamacallit, Gotham by Gaslight.
Right. Because they made a movie out of that one. Yeah, I think we had Red Sun and I think we had Kingdom Come on the list if we were going to continue to do Treasure Edition stuff. Yeah. But we never got around to it. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, we're overwhelmed with new material right now. But yeah, if we ever have to make some evergreen stuff, that's on the list.
So the last thing I'll say about this is like, you know what? Some of the stuff that's been currently going on feel like Elseworld stuff. So I was like, I didn't think that it was gone. Like the Batman Superman book kind of feels like an Elseworlds book at times, given some of the language. But hey, it is what it is. Next up, though. Oh, glad. Great, you got this one.
No, I had the Elseworlds.
Did you? Oh, okay. Rats. So Jason Todd lives, folks. Basically, they're reprinting the issue of Batman 428 that killed off that originally killed off Jason Todd, except for it's going to have the unreleased version that wasn't voted on, aka the version where he lived.
Mm-hmm.
So after 35 years, it's still about, because it kind of has been talked about. So I guess they're just going to do that. They're not going to like continue a story with that. And it's going to be called the Batman 428 Fall Simile Edition, which they have been doing those facsimile editions of certain stuff for some time now.
Right.
But this is going to go on sale December 12th. So if you wanted to see and you didn't already know how that played off from when if Jason Todd lived, which I feel like has kind of been done, you can pick that up. Next up.
Last but not least, folks, we're wrapping up our basically our 2-week coverage of New York Comic Con. Dynamite Entertainment will publish a line of comics based on Warner Brothers Discovery animated series starting next year, including Thundercats, Flintstones, Powerpuff Girls, and more. So that'll be in 2024, and it will be a new line of comics from Dynamite Entertainment. And it's going to start with a brand new Thundercats title from writer, not artist, but writer Declan Shalvey, artist Drew Moss, and letterer Jeff Eckelberry. Thundercats will launch in February, to be followed by comics based on properties, including, as I said earlier, the Flintstones, the Powerpuff Girls, Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, The Wizard of Oz, We Bear Bears, and more yet to be announced. Pretty cool.
So I talked about this last week. So this is so anybody who listened to last week's episode is like, why does he repeat this? Because one Agent 70 wasn't here, and I wanted to bring that up too. But also, if Matt was still around, I wanted to bring it up to him for these because I wanted to get his thoughts on this stuff, which I think he kind of may have.
Yeah, he mentioned it quickly. Yeah,
a little earlier. So. Yeah, and also as I mentioned last week, all of this stuff is Warner Brothers properties. That's the part that kind of messed with me for a second, but I know it's a licensing deal. But it still kind of messed with me. It's like, wait, all of these are Warner Brothers, which again, that's a DC, Warner Brothers DC. So when I originally read it, I was like, that's messing me up. But hey, including Space Ghost and Johnny Quest, which again had actually been they had that Future State line or whatever it was, not Future State, but whatever they call that Hanna-Barbera thing they did a few years back, which was pretty good that I read. So yeah, I'll be looking into some of this for certain. And with that, Agent 70, did you have anything from last week that you wanted to kind of address anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I joke. I made a joke about Avengers. In terms of the news, not really. I can hold off on this Toy Fair thing. The Toy Corner thing. We've been going on for a while now. Okay. We actually need to do 2 ads because we didn't do one yet.
That is true.
To close the show, we will do 2 ads. But yeah, it's listen, we've had 2 shows that covered New York Comic Con. We had 1 guest and my own experiences, and as you can see, I definitely had a very varied experience at New York Comic Con this year. Didn't just do Artist Alley, definitely did some shopping, definitely did some cosplaying, interestingly enough, showed up as Daichi, Sawamura Daichi on Sunday from Haikyuu, and it was a lot of fun. I will be posting that likely within the next 48 hours. So look forward to that, folks.
Indeed. First and last ad reads.
Yes, so our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles, such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise, such as custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, Go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. It's too bad I put a cough in there. Otherwise, we'd be able to can that one and use that one for future ad reads. Let's see if I can get a sip of water in. What's that?
So now we're going to do those proper. Don't worry. So I appreciate you thinking about it, though.
I'm going to get a sip of water in anyway because I need it, because we've been talking for a while. Our last ad read of the night is for Amazon. Please help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, Marvel Legends, or random volleyball equipment. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right, folks. As I send Agent 70 a couple of items of note in the background, we'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out. Appreciate it. It's a little late show for those watching us on the video version, but hey, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate Matt Wang 97 being here as always.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Shout out to Matt Wang 97.
Always busy, always running. He's the hardest working man in the field that he's doing. We're not going to talk about what that man does because I actually don't fully know. But that's
it contains multitudes. I'll put it that way. It contains
that part
multitudes.
I do know. Yeah, that part I absolutely know. So, and with that, folks, you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News on Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. PC_Dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet on Twitter, PopCultureNetwork.com, and all his umbrella sites therein. Good. I knew that was going to happen. And Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Cron, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. The Kliq Nation on Twitter, that's TheKliqNation, all one word, thekliqnation.com, but also over at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off under Timothy Adams. Pretty sure he's been busy this past week if he's back on the beat.
Right.
So you could find this here podcast on the Coast of the Podcast Network, that's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast personal place of choice. This and probably last week's, which probably are coming in quick succession, on your podcast personal place of choice, which is Google Play or Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews. It really does matter on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. You could also find us, of course, recording mostly every Thursday night. And why does this shirt look blue when it's black? I do not know. But regardless, I don't know. Look at this, the strangest things, my mind. Twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles and YouTube.com/The Kliq Nation. Also, always where we record mostly every Thursday night, 9:30ish Eastern Standard Time. Which, of course, with the changes that we will talk about at a later date. And with that, party people, we are out of here. We will be back next week. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Wakanda forever!